Shalom, shalom, set apart men. Man, welcome back to another episode. Man, I want to thank you first and foremost for tuning into the Set Apart Man YouTube channel, a channel where we help men learn how to live set apart, how to be more obedient to the will of the Most High Yah, and how to navigate this world according to righteousness. You know, in today's message, man, in today's video, I'm going to talk about something that men oftentimes don't want to address. And in Western culture, due to the ways of Western culture, you know, this is a problematic, or men might be afraid to address this issue or to talk about it openly. And I'm going to talk about today surrounding the question of how long should you let your wife rebel against you and your leadership as a husband. But before I dive into that, man, I need every man out there watching this, whether you're new, whether you're a continued supporter, man, smash that like button. Man, I appreciate your support, and your support goes a long way to help this video get ahead in the algorithm to help men that need to hear this. Secondly, you know, if you're not a current subscriber, man, subscribe to the Set Apart Man YouTube channel. Like I said, man, this is a channel designed for men to talk about these issues and to have discussion. Once you hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on, click that little up arrow, set your notifications to all notifications. That way you're not missing out when I'm dropping a video. You know, lastly, man, drop me a comment below answering this question. Why do you think men in Western culture oftentimes tolerate stuff for the long haul when you have a woman in the house that is working against you every day? She's not a helpmeet. She's working against you. Why do you think men tolerate that, man? Drop your answer in the comment, man. Let's start the dialogue. Iron sharpens iron. But without further ado, man, let's get into it.
My husband is mad at me because he walked in and he saw that I'm making breakfast, and I told him that this was for me and my daughter, and that if he wanted some, he needed to cook for himself. I told him I was not going out of my way to make breakfast for him. This is only for me and my daughter. Like, if you're that hungry, there's a McDonald's down the street, or there's eggs in the fridge and there's bacon, and you can make it yourself. He's acting like this not cooking for him thing is brand new.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
All praise to the Most High Yahweh Shalom. Thank you for tuning in to another righteous Ruach Spirit-filled episode of the Set Apart Man. Once again, I'm back at it in them trenches, handling that kingdom business. You know, man, you've got men out there that are praying to the Most High Yah, praying for the Most High Yah to do something with their wife, to praying for her to be in alignment with divine order, with her divine function. If you, as a set apart man, have found your alignment and are walking in the will of the Most High Yah, but constantly you're coming back with the same conclusion, man, those instructions in the book that are telling you what to do in this situation are always pointing right back at you. The onus is on you as a man. But you as a man, you've continued to say, you know what, man, this woman has been rebelling against me for 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, and I'm just going to tolerate it. I'm just going to acquiesce and capitulate, and I'm just going to give in. Maybe one day these prayers will be answered. But again, the Most High Yah is continually pointing you back to the instructions. If she would not go the way you would have her go, cut her off from your flesh, write her a bill of divorce, and put her away from you. That's in the book of Ecclesiasticus. You know, when you look in Torah, you know, when it gives instructions for divorce, man, we suffer wanting to be fixers. We suffer a lot of rebellion and tolerate a lot of rebellion that the Most High Yah never intended for you to have to deal with, never intended for you to have to. You got to think, man, if you continue to rebel against the Most High Yah for the entirety of your life, what's your judgment going to be as a man? You're not getting into heaven, you know, because you've chosen a path working against the Most High. Man, most men that deal with a rebellious wife, a disrespectful wife, you know, a wife that constantly tells you what she wants you to do according to her desires, because her desire was never for you as her husband, as it was supposed to be as a helpmeet, man, you deal with this for far too long. You know, you're telling her about, okay, she's spending too much money. She comes back at you telling you you need to make more money. You know, you have no problem paying the bills, providing the necessities, but you have constantly told her, man, you need to cook. She barely wants to cook 2-3 days out of the week. The rest of the week, she wants to eat out, and you got to fend for yourself. How long do you tolerate this? How long do you, as the head of your household, you know, and you know, even if you got a religious woman that's a Christian, Catholic, you know, you got men out there that are dealing with rebellious religious women. You tell your children, hey, we're not doing this. She comes behind you, undermines your authority, and tells them, yes, we're doing this. How long do you tolerate this behavior? How long do you tolerate the wife that is conveniently on her period 2-3 times a month? And then the times in between, you know, she's got a headache, she's not feeling good. But when she wants something, you give up the goods because you know if you didn't, she would make a big deal out of it. Think about this. How long do you tolerate a wife who can read clearly as day what her function is in the Bible, but she chooses the desires of her flesh over the righteousness of divine biblical marriage? How long do you tolerate this? Man, this is a question that as men, you have to be prepared. And a lot of men, what they do is they end up suffering in silence rather than cutting sling load. And the set apart man must know when to cut sling load. Must know when to cut sling load, because guess what? The Most High, he's gonna sever himself, and she no longer will have any protection, any provision. You think about Lot's wife. Think about Lot's wife. She didn't choose obedience to the Most High Yah, and look what happened to her. Most High Yah turned her into a pillar of salt. Oftentimes, men, the signs are there in a woman's rebellion that we need to cut ties. But in Western culture, man, this is something that we fear. You know, we fear, man, I'm going to lose my children. You've already lost the children, because guess what? The children 9 times out of 10 in Western culture will be turned against the father. They're going to choose the evils and the funds of evil, the pleasures that come with evil over the father's righteousness. That's what they're going to choose. So you've already lost your children. You know, okay, man, you're going to have to, you fear paying alimony, you fear paying child support and all of this. You're already being taken advantage of spiritually. It don't get any worse than that. You know, man, how long will you continue to let this woman continue to be in her crafty devices, continue to operate in delusion, continually openly disrespect you, have no reverence, not esteem you highly, continue to be an alpha female? How long will you tolerate this mess? And I tell you, as long as you tolerate this, you're missing out on your opportunity for a set apart woman. You are missing out on your opportunity to be able to scour the earth and scavenge the earth, search the earth for what the Most High Yah is set apart for the man that is set apart. Man, oftentimes men find themselves in this position because they've chosen a wife according to their flesh, and you didn't understand the things of righteousness at that time. How long will you allow, you know, this relationship, this paper marriage by way of a marriage license in Western court, you know, to continue to be unequally yoked? I want you to think about it. You as a set apart man are trying to align your household with righteousness, and she's trying to align your household with Hasatan. Think about this. Okay, man, if you weren't fulfilling your function as a man, you don't think she would put you on notice? What employer continues to provide a paycheck for employees that constantly, consistently don't do the job that they were instructed to do? But guess what, men, we are that employee that will constantly, our wives are called to be helpmeets. Nope, you're her helpmeet. But yet we sit back and tolerate it. Your wife don't want to cook, so what do, man? You try to pick up the slack and cook for her because she's tired and her feet hurt, but she ain't fulfilling her biblical function. She ain't tired from righteousness. No, she's tired from doing what she wants to do in the world and coming home and putting a burden on you. How long do you tolerate this as a man? And this is a question that each man must ask himself when dealing with this situation. You know, how long as a man do you bring in blessings for the family due to your righteousness? She gets to benefit off the fruit of your tree while rebelling against you. She's trying to chop you off at the roots. How long do you tolerate this? See, when a man tolerates this for too long, his countenance is brought low. When he's with other men, he really doesn't have, the conviction to be joyous or anything like that because he doesn't have peace. And one thing is, I want you to understand, most men stay silent about things like this, thinking that they're keeping the peace, but you're keeping the peace according to your flesh. You're not keeping the peace according to the Ruach. The Ruach is the spirit that gives peace. Your silence makes you feel peaceful in that moment, but you really feeling sorrowful because you're tired of confronting her on the same thing over and over again. A woman will put you on notice. An employer would put you on notice, but yet you don't have the backbone to do it. So you constantly allow her to rebel against you over and over again. And as long as and it's not, here's the thing, man, I want you to understand, it's not a lot of these women who are wives and rebel against their husbands and rebel against righteousness, man, they don't even realize their error until 10 years post you severing that relationship. You get a phone call out the blue. Man, I should have just done what you was asking me to do. It was life easier. And they're calling you because it's finally settling in on them that, man, their rebellion has caused them a lot of suffering and a lot of consequences when they could have got with the program. And this is the nature of the man that continues to cover the rebellious woman. And you're trying to protect her from spiritual attacks. And she's the one opening the window, unlocking the doors, letting Hasatan come up in there. And Hasatan is using her for evil, for his crafty devices against you as the man. How long do you let this go on? How long do you let this go on? I want you to think about it, men. When you have a situation like this, hear me and hear me clear. You don't need to be engaging in a whole lot of sex with this woman. And you dang sure better be sure that you're not gooping all up in her, busting all kind of nuts up in her, because the problem doesn't get better. Children aren't going to make the problem any better. You know, children aren't going to be the answer to cure her. Like, you got to think about all these women that men have gooped in. Having children with a woman hasn't been the solution for her rebellion. It's not. It's just going to make your situation more painful. And I tell you this, man, if you've got a woman that you can't even go up inside of righteously as her husband and do this, have conjugal rights with because of her rebellion and producing these offspring, producing these children that have to deal with this dysfunction, that lets you know, hey, you probably need to cut sling low. The set apart man must know when to pull the plug. And here's the thing. Society, the culture, you're always going to be the problem. She's going to be right. No matter how much rebellion she's living or operating in, you're going to be the problem. You're going to be the enemy. She's going to be the victim. But in the eyes of righteousness, it's the other way around. Takes a little bit of backbone. And I tell you, man, you're constantly opening this word and it's telling you over and over again what you need to do. But yet you're just hoping the Most High Yah would make an exception for you. Man, there are no exceptions. He's gonna consistently give you his word. You've been praying for 10 years. You've been praying for 5 years. The doggone change will come. And guess what? No effort, no change. She says, I'll do better and I'll change. And she just does a 360, ends up in the same rebellious spot. When you're hoping, man, she'll do a 190, she'll do a 180, she'll do a 170. Nope, you don't get that. You don't see the fruits. You don't see her bearing the fruits of repentance. You just see her consistently operating out of her flesh, gravitating to the rebellion of the world, operating in the spirit of the enemy. You done laid hands on her. You done all of this stuff. Nothing's worked. It's time to pull the plug. Once again, this is the set apart man kicking that thing gun barrel straight. Until next time, stay set apart, stay disciplined, and stay in the word of Yah. Wow.